Here I am with my completed turtle deck. You may remember from my last video that I said I split this video into two. This is the second half of it, which is the final assembly of the turtle deck. Alright, well I think I have everything pretty well stripped down and deburred and primed and ready to start assembling things back together again. Here's a quick look at what's going on. Here's the longerons, they're up on top. I've pulled out all of these crossbars, cross beams that go through here, through the midsection. This one was already done. I went ahead and reattached it here. We've got the cross tie box up here, a couple of these splices here that will connect the front and the rear fuselage together. A couple of other parts here that all go together. Here's these vertical Z's that are going to go in the front. Here's where the fair leads go right here. And over here I have a stack of the formers that go up in the turtle deck. This is the one that sits in the rearmost area there. And here's my seat belt connectors. And here is a rear splice here that's going to go right in this area to hold my vertical stabilizer here. So I'm going to go ahead and start here in the rear. There are several clecos down there holding on the tail skid. It's going to pop out down here. I'm going to go ahead and start riveting back here. That's a good place to start. These clecos right here, they actually don't get riveted yet, so that this can spread apart a little bit when it comes time to put in the vertical stabilizer in here. Basically from here all the way forward, that's where the longerons are going to attach. As I go along, I'll rivet in all these cross members down here. These are already deburred and primed and everything. They've just been kind of connected, waiting for me to take care of the turtle deck. So I'm going to probably start there and assemble things as I go along. Alright, well, I've put in several clecos all along the sides here. I've put in some additional clecos in perpendicular spots. The thing about a monocoque design like the Sonex is that every single fastener, in this case most of them are rivets, sometimes they're bolts, but every fastener is a part that strengthens the whole, the unit as a whole. If you're looking at the side panels of the rear here, if I don't have enough clecos in place, you're bound to have it do something like this. If you put enough going across this way, it prevents it from shifting one way or another, and it makes it all rigid and true. So I put a bunch of clecos in place just to hold it in place enough that I can put in a couple of other rivets before I assemble other parts. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have all these rivets going along the longerons here, but I've also, perpendicular to that, I've added in these clecos that go in through the top and through these cross members. I've also put these clecos into place here for the seat belt mount, which also keeps it from twisting this direction, because it's got clecos pulling this direction and clecos pulling in this direction, as well as clecos pulling in this direction. So this alone really tightened everything up. And obviously when you're back here with this part, we've got strong rigidity going this direction as well as this direction as well as this direction, just to make sure that there's no twisting action between the different parts. And so I've put a number of these clecos in place just to hold things. Now if you only put in, you know, a few of them, every single hole has just a micrometer worth of space that it can shift a little bit, and that little bit can actually turn into a lot when you're looking at one end of the aircraft to the other. But the more of these you put into place, the more stable it is. And the same thing happens when you put rivets into place. Each one of those rivets keeps it from moving one direction or another. Anyway, now that I've got that kind of done, I want to put some rivets down where these clecos are. And then I'll move forward and do the ones that are here in the next one and so on and so forth all the way up to the front. So with all that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and put together this front area here as well. I've already started to put some of these front to rear splices into place. Just, I mean, at this point there's only one cleco holding it in place, but there's going to be 4 bolts that go down through that clip that we talked about before. It kind of comes down like this and then kind of bends back as well. So that's all going to be one part. There's going to be over there. There's going to be our cross tie box that's over there. And several other parts here. Those vertical Z's are going to go up in here. And then we've got a cross channel here that goes across the bottom front. And then this part actually goes on in the back here. But I'm not going to install that until after I get those rivets that are down inside of there put into place first. And then I'll do this, so I have access into those rivets. So just to make it clear, I've gone ahead and removed the bottom plate from this cross tie box here, and the reason is because I eventually need to put some screws through the holes up here in the top. I don't know if you can see my fingers blocking the light up there or not, and put nuts on the bottom. And if that plate is on the bottom, I can't get to those nuts to be able to tighten them down. So for right now, it's going to remain off until that's done, and that can't be done until I put the turtle deck over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling rivets in the back over there. Well, in retrospect, I probably should have held off pulling those 6 rivets. These 4 clecos are right here. Those actually have to be drilled up to 3/16 to accommodate a AN3 5-A bolt. So AN3, so 3/16. So I can go ahead and remove this whole part here and deburr from the backside. So it's actually not a problem. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Well, I'll drill first and then I'll pull it out and deburr it. Alright, there's the part pulled out, and just need to deburr that and deburr the holes down below here too, and can bolt that into place. Alright, I've gone ahead and deburred and put a little bit of primer on these parts here. I have the tail skid I'm going to go ahead and install back into place now. Well, I'm trying to decide what I need to do next. I need to put this shear web assembly here This is kind of in a tight spot. This has to go underneath the spar here and on top of this cross member here. And also this clip right here needs to tuck in on the aft side of this, so back on the back side of this. I'm a little bit nervous about riveting some things into place, especially on the upper portion here, because I might not be able to fit that back in if I rivet it. So what I'm going to do instead is go ahead and put a couple of rivets down into these lower portions, and then leave the ones on the upper portion just clecoed for now, so that I can spread that apart once I have my rivets in place all across these bottom cross members. Alright, I've pulled all the rivets down in these lower attach points, all the way from the aft all the way forward. I didn't record it. If you don't know how to pull rivets by now, go back and watch some older videos, I guess. But those are all riveted in place all the way from aft to forward. Alright, now that all those rivets are in place, I'm going to go ahead and try and put this aft shear web assembly into position. So I'm not sure what it's going to take to do that. I'm probably going to turn off the camera and just see what I need to do to get that in place, and then I'll talk about it. Alright, well, what worked was to just remove all of these clecos going down here through this bulkhead on both sides, and I removed this clip that was right up here, this clip right here, which goes in underneath here. Between those two things, I was able to spread these two longerons apart just enough to get it to slide in there. Probably not the best way to do this. It probably would have been better to remove all these clecos on one side and then slip it into place and then put the longeron back into place. But, well, this is what I did, so like it or not, it's functional. Alright, well, after getting that put into place, I was taking a second look, which I always highly recommend, and I realized that I need to put some rivets down into this face plate before I do that. There's a part that comes down on that shear web assembly that would block me from being able to get those rivets into place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Those rivets are in place, and I'm going to go ahead and replace that shear web assembly now, and I guess rivet it across the top here and back in the back over there. Alright, well, I've pulled my first rivet through here. I was debating whether to pull it from this side or from around on the other side. What you'll notice here is that the thicker piece of metal is on the back side here, and because when you pull a rivet, that the mandrel here, when it gets sucked in, that size is not as big as the head of the rivet, like one of these right here. Generally, it's better practice then to pull with the head through the thinner piece of metal into the thicker piece, so that there's more material to hold the back side of that rivet in there, meaning that there's more material it would have to tear through in order to come loose. And so I opted to go ahead and pull it. The instructions don't say one way or the other on this particular part, but thinking about it, I just went ahead and decided to pull it from the other end, so that, like I said, the larger head end would go on the thinner piece of metal, and then the part that pulls and swells actually goes through the thicker piece, come in this direction. So it's a little more work on my side to get in there and do that. Kind of have to get down underneath with a hand rivet gun to pull that in. But I think that's the better way to go, so that's what I'm going to do on these ones. Alright, well, there it is. It's a lot more effort than pulling it out through a pneumatic puller, but I can't get the pneumatic puller back in there, so this is the way to do it. These ones are pulled. You can see this shinier silver ones. These ones actually have a little primer on it because this part was built before I drilled and deburred and everything, and then did another little coat of primer over the top, so these ones got a little coat. But these ones are brand new, just pulled. Next, I'm going to go through each of these upper cross ties, and not all of these holes get rivets in them, just kind of the ones that are sort of on the lower corner. These ones eventually up here in this top part, they're going to get done when I put on the Turtledeck skin, and that's going to be where the Turtledeck formers go. So I'll just make sure I only pull these rivets that are down in these bottom corners down here. All right, those rivets are pulled on all of these cross ties here, down on the bottom here and up to here on all of these. Next, I'm going to go ahead and drill out the holes for these seatbelt mounts. I was playing around with the seatbelts that I bought at Sun 2 years ago. These are hooker harness seatbelts. I'm still debating how I want to connect these. There are two of these, what they call a shoulder harness triangular end fitting. One for each shoulder strap, and they're actually two separate straps with the hooker harness, where the instructions show just a single strap that goes through a single one of these triangular shaped things here. And so what I've done is I've kind of looped it through for now, using just a single one of these. I may end up stacking these one on top of another with the seatbelt mount kind of going between the two, so that you have equal pull top and bottom, which eventually will work out to left and right per shoulder. So it would look sort of like this, except instead of having it go into a single one, the one for the right shoulder here would come back and have its own triangular shaped one, and the one for the left shoulder would come back to have its own triangular end fitting here. I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I am going to go ahead and drill up the shoulder harness mount point here to 5/16 of an inch, which is what the instructions tell you to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now while I have the Turtledeck knot installed and I have access to get in there and drill the hole really easily. Okay, I've gone ahead and riveted in all of these rivets around here. This is just the lower cross member here to this up vertical Z. Behind that is also a little clip, a 90-degree clip here that connects part of the flap control here. It's tied to both the front plate here as well as off to the side. So I've already riveted in these 8 rivets here, and I've done this, I don't know how many that is, 9 or 10 or whatever it is. And then I still have to rivet in the rest of these ones here in the middle. That'll be the same over here on this side. I have not yet put in these rivets on this side to hold in that clip that goes behind there. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that next. Alright, I have those rivets all in place and these rivets all in place. I've also gone ahead and put in my bolts up here to hold on these clips up here, and I've got them torqued down properly as well on both sides. So at this point I think that I have everything where it needs to be in order to pull the skin for the Turtledeck out of the box over there and set it back on top. And then I'll be pulling off the clecos all on one side, tucking the skin from the Turtledeck in between the upper longeron here and the skin. So the skin, all the clecos along the left here need to come out, and the skin bends out just a little tiny bit for me to set the other one in between, and then put all the clecos back into place. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Then I'll put all the formers in each of these cross ties coming across. All right, well, I've attached this clip on the inside here. It's going through these holes here, but it's also, there's some holes going this direction that go along the spine back inside of here. There's a C channel inside of that. I can't get a rivet gun because of the bend here in this, so I'm actually going to end up having to, unfortunately, pull out a bunch of rivets all along one of the sides, one or the other, and then all of these out of one side as well, to be able to flop the skin up, to be able to get a rivet gun in there straight to take, you know, to do the rivets going this direction, and then put it all back together again. So that's something to do tomorrow. I'm happy with where I've gotten to today. I'm gonna call it a night. It's going on 6 o'clock, so I'll be back tomorrow. All right, well, I'm back at it again today. I'm gonna go ahead and put those forward formers on the one side up here on my left, which is the right side of the aircraft. And then I'm going to peel back the skin on the other side, the left side of the aircraft, so that I can get in there and put some rivets where they need to go in that back former. Alright, well, I've got it attached here. This is the upper former here that kind of goes, it goes all the way from the bottom here, all the way up and around, and attaches all the way around the turtle deck. And then there's the lower former back here that attaches to the back of the cross tie box, as well as into the side here. There's a couple of holes down here. And those things all put together should hold this thing up when I release the rivets going down the side here, so that I can get into that back portion there and pull some rivets. And I also have 4 rivets that I need to pull into this little clip that kind of attaches to this clip here. It's a 90-degree clip. It kind of hits the back side of that and then bends back and attaches to the back side here. So these 4 rivets need to be pulled as well. And since I can't really get a rivet gun up into this top corner up here without pulling that skin out of the way, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, fairly uneventful. I was able to pull out those rivets down the side and the ones that were up across the former there in the back on the one half of it. So now I just need to go in and put my rivets up here in the front and way back there in the back. So I did pull one rivet back here previously, and it, because of the bend in the skin here, I couldn't get the rivet gun up there very tight, and so it pulled uneven, and it didn't sit all the way down. So I'm going to pull that one out. Well, first I'll put in the other rivets first to hold it in place, and then I'll drill that one out and replace it with a new rivet. Alright, now for the harder part of extracting this one rivet here. You can probably, hopefully you can see that in the camera, that it's a little bit off-centered and kind of tilted downwards. I don't know. Let's see if I can drill that out. We'll see. Alright, well, I was able to drill out the that bad rivet. I was nervous that I might oversize the hole a little bit. Looks like it might be all right. I'm going to go ahead and try and pull a new rivet in there and see what happens. Hopefully this works. Perfect. Looks good. All right, now I'm going to do essentially the same thing up on these forward holes here on the same clip, just opposite ends of the airplane here. So I'm going to put some rivets in going this direction at this point. All right, there we go. I got all 4 of them pulled through into this 90-degree clip here, which attaches this backbone here into this plate up here in the front. It goes behind these 4 holes right here. All right, well, now that I have those clips in place, riveted, it now makes it a little more difficult to put this skin down inside of this skin. So it's going to take a little bit of effort on my part to bend this a little bit and get it up inside of there without creating a crease here. So I think the best way to do this is from the rear and move forward. It should be the most difficult back here where I can control it. As we go farther forward, because there's a longer arm of length in the metal, it should make it a little easier to bend it and tuck it where it needs to go. So this is the most critical part here. Alright, so these little wooden shims, they're typically used if you're hanging a door in your house. That's what I have them in my toolbox for. Basically you put them in there and you can shim it wider or skinnier to hold the door where you want it. They work pretty well for getting in there, just kind of tucking them in between the crack and then sliding it along without doing any damage to the aluminum along the skins here. So that worked pretty well. Highly recommended. Alright, well I have both of these formers on both sides put on, so 4 formers all together. There's a lower and an upper that connect together here in the middle. The lower comes down through these side, through the side here. There's several rivets that hold it together going vertical here. That's on the other side of this. This is also attached around the back. You're not going to be able to see that probably, but there are some rivets or some clecos back here holding this in place as well. I've added clecos all the way down the side here to hold everything true. The next step is to take the formers that go inside of each of these areas here, where you can see where the paint lines are here. But so I need 6 altogether. The left and the right side, there's going to be one that goes here, one that goes here, one that goes here on the inside. And that's going to require me to get down inside of the airframe and push it up into place and cleco things where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, I don't know if you can see me on the camera or not, but I was able to put it in there and actually get the shot, I think. So there you go. A little bit difficult to get in there, but it worked. Alright, so I have those formers in place. Now I'm going to do the clecos around the outside that hold them this direction as well. Those clips that they're attached to on the inside hold them pretty well. I can already see through the holes pretty straight. There's a couple of them that need a little bit of manhandling to get them to go in straight. Alright, well I'm not sure that I ever thought this day would come, but here we are. We're ready to start riveting up the fuselage here. It's starting to kind of look like an airplane. I think I'm going to start with the inside, doing all those formers from the inside first, and then pulling rivets around the outside, kind of up in this area here and everywhere else. Well, most of those pulled okay, apart from this one down here in this bottom corner. It appears to have pulled out a little bit before it pulled the trigger, so I'm gonna have to drill that one out and replace it with a new rivet. Alright, I was able to get it drilled out and used a center punch to be able to push the rivet into the case here. It's sitting down in the bottom of this now, and then I just put in a new rivet and pulled it, and that time it went in proper, so we're good. I have all of those rivets pulled up on the top, the clip up here on both sides, as well as down here below on both sides, all the way down. I also put the rivets into the bottom of this rear former here, kind of right across the front there. Next up is to rivet in this clip that's on the back side of this. There's 4 CCP 41s that go behind here that actually attach these two. So I'm gonna pull those rivets real quick. So now that I've added all the rivets to the back side of this lower former here, I can put on this former strap. This connects right up into here, and because it has this bend on the back side of it, you have to pull the rivets in this lower former before you put this into place, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to pull the rivets on the back side of this. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and attach these straps, up drill them, paint them, deburr, all that stuff that I need to do to get these connected as well. All right, using a combination of a regular number 30 drill bit and a 90-degree offset drill. I don't know what you call the tool, but it basically your drill goes this direction and it makes the drill bit go out that direction. So I put a 1/8" drill bit on that to do a couple of these holes, and a foot-long 1/8" drill bit as well, depending on which one of these holes I had to get into. The 90-degree one worked pretty well up here in these last couple of ones. The long one worked really well down here where I had to kind of get behind, where there wasn't enough room for the drill, the head of the drill, to get back behind this. I was able to do it from down below with, you know, just the margins of the drill bit coming past this. Anyway, so they all drilled out pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and deburr these, and then go ahead and put them back into place. I didn't get it on camera, but I went ahead and pulled all these rivets around the top of this forward former here. Also the vertical rivets down here in this the bottom of this lower former here. They're all pulled on both sides. I also pulled all these rivets here between the two formers, as well as these up here. These top 4 in the inside right here, they attach to the clip that's inside that hooks into the spine here going down the back. And I'd previously pulled the rivets on the other end of that. Just moving on, I'm going to go ahead and pull these, the rest of these vertical ones here on this side now, and continue to move on down the line. I'm planning to do all the formers first, and then I'll go back and do all of the ones down the sides here into the longerons. All right, all the rivets are pulled across the top of the turtle deck here. Next step is to start pulling rivets along where these clecos are down the side, and that should wrap up this assembly. Well, that's what I was nervous about, getting back in these corners back here. I have to drill that out and try and pull it again. It's obviously not right. Probably have to do that with a hand puller instead of with the pneumatic puller. Yep, that worked. Now, putting these rivets in was actually on one of the tasks that I was supposed to have done before I put this on. Now I understand why. But honestly, I liked having the clecos in place instead of rivets, just in case something like, you know, needed to be moved or whatever. I'm glad that I did wait. It worked out. I'm happy with it. Everything's nice and tight in there. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for hanging out for, hopefully, for both the last video and this one, the preparation and the final assembly of this turtle deck. Hopefully you found this entertaining and enjoyable to watch, and maybe you've learned something. I certainly did myself. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.